We're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, 7.6. Again, we're looking at trig. We're looking at cosine, sine, and tangent. We're going to concentrate a little bit more on sine and cosine today. Remember, we've got our trigonometric ratios, sine, cosine, and tangent. If we have a right triangle that we label A, B, C, okay, where we want to look at A, so we're looking at angle A, we have opposite, we have adjacent, and we have hypotenuse. Okay. Now, that would change, obviously, if I was looking at angle B. We're going to go through each of these examples below, and example 1, we're going to set up the trig ratios for all the acute angles. And then if we look on the back, we're going to start doing sine and cosine to solve these things. Okay? So the first ones, we're just going to set up some trig ratios. All right. So we are looking at the first triangle A. We want to find cosine, sine, and tangent for A and C. Why not B? It's a 90-degree angle. We're only looking at them for the acute angles. It only works for acute angles. Okay. What do you want to do first, A or C? A. So we're going to find the sine of A, the cosine of A, and the tangent cosine of A, and the tangent of A. Remember, we're looking at wait, this is a capital H. TOA. Okay? Remember we talked about all those different ways of remembering what SOHCAHTOA was? All those funny sayings. Some of them you created for yourself. So sine of A. So we're looking at A. What side is opposite A? 4. Or BC. Good. What side is adjacent? 3 or AD. What side is the hypotenuse? All right. Sine is O and H. What are O and H? Opposite and hypotenuse. So I've got opposite, which would be what? And the hypotenuse, which would be? That's it. That's all it wants you to do. So what about cosine? Cosine is AH. So that would be? And hypotenuse, so that would be? 3 over 5. Good. And finally, TOA is opposite and adjacent, which would be? 4 over 3. Okay. Now it's going to get a little confusing. We're going to find the sine of C, the cosine of C, and the tangent of C. Okay, so now I'm looking at C. What's opposite? I know there's a bunch of words written up here, but what's opposite C? 3. What's adjacent to C? 4. And what's the hypotenuse? Notice the only one that didn't change from the blue to the red. You okay? All right. So looking at the red ones, what is opposite and hypotenuse for sine? Good. What is adjacent over hypotenuse? What is tangent, so opposite over adjacent? 3 over 4. Good. Okay, for B, I want you to do that one on your own. I'm going to walk around, see how you're doing. I want you to do B on your own. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, let's make sure we all got the same thing. Shh. Okay, I'm going to do A first. So I know this is my opposite, This is my adjacent. This is my hypotenuse. Oop. I hate it when it does that. This is my hypotenuse. Okay, I've got sine. I'm not sure why we're talking right now. Sine, cosine, tangent. This is all for A. This is all for A. So, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, now I'm switching it. Do it for B. So this becomes opposite. This becomes adjacent. But this stays the same for hypotenuse. Shh. We've got sine of B equals opposite, 3.8, over hypotenuse, which is 6. Cosine B equals adjacent, 4.6, over 6. And tan B, or tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. Questions? Does it confuse you when I switch the angle? Like you were okay for A, and then when I went to B, it messed you up? 4.6 over 6. B is nothing. B2C is 4.6. This whole side. We don't know what angle B is. Okay. Shh. Stop. Put the phone away. Put the phone away. All right, we did that yesterday. Okay, let's move on to example 2. A. We're going to use sine, cosine, and tangent to find out what our missing sides are. So here I've got x and y, and I've got 72. So let's list all the sides. What is x to 72? Is it opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. What is y then? Hypotenuse. We know that we're dealing with SOHCAHTOA. There is a whole story about how it could be a tribe name. Shh. Yes, there is. Yeah, it'll give you a whole little story. Okay. Excuse me? Oh, thank you. It says 3 right here. That's weird that didn't show up. Thank you. And 3 would be what? See this whole thing? Adjacent. Okay. So, what do you want to find first? X or Y? Let's find X because it's alphabetical. Okay? All right. So, if we're looking at X, what other number do I have? I have adjacent. So, if I have opposite and adjacent, which one do I use? I don't want to kick you guys out. This is recording. Tangent. So, I'm going to write tan 72 equals opposite over adjacent. And remember we talked about it's just cross multiplying. Okay? It's just cross multiplying. So I'm going to go through. Tan times 3 is 3 tan 72 equals x. And then I put this in my calculator. Or if you don't have a calculator, you go 3 times. You look up tan of 72, and you times that by 3. So let's round it to 4 decimal places. 9.2331. Yes? Yeah. Otherwise it won't work right. 3 times tan 72, end your parentheses if it doesn't already end them. Okay, so we found x, so let's find y. So y, we're using adjacent and hypotenuse. Which one uses adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine. So cosine 72 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, remember this is over 1. We're going to cross multiply. So we get y cosine 22 equals 3. 72. Miss Murphy can't read her own handwriting. That was sad. Okay, 72. How do I get that y by itself now? Cosine of 72. So y equals 3 divided by cosine 72. And I get y is 9.7082. So we've got x and we've got y. Do we have a question?
Yeah, how do you know if there's a cosine tangent or
Okay, well let's use the next problem we're doing to discuss that. And I'm going to put it on a new paper. Yes. We get out at? Yeah. We get out at 9:25. Okay. So, we're looking at 40 right here, right? What is opposite 40? Okay. What is the hypotenuse? What is adjacent? What do we want to find first, x or y? Let's do x. It's in alphabetical order. Okay, so Dana, this should answer your question. I want to find x, and I've got what other number? Okay, so if I'm thinking about SOHCAHTOA, okay, I'm thinking about which one uses A and H. That's how I know it's cosine. So then I've got the cosine of 40 equals A over H. Remember, we put a 1 under it, and we cross multiply. Okay, divide by cosine 40. Yes. Yes. You have to. Otherwise, it is incorrect. So now we do 8 divided by cosine 40. We get 10.4433. A lot of times it'll just tell us to round to 2 decimal places. We're rounding to 4 here. Oh, actually it says round to the nearest tenth. So we can fix that. The tenth is the first one, so it would be just 10.4. Okay, we found x. We've got to find y. Okay, if we're looking at, again, we look at the number we're given and y. So we've got adjacent and opposite. Which one is it? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Tangent. So the tan of 40 equals the opposite over adjacent. We cross multiply. Okay, so we put in our calculator, 8, tan, 40, and we get 6.7. Because it says at the top of our paper, using trigonometric ratios, find each variable and round to the nearest tenth. And I didn't read the instructions before. Yes? Yes. It's not 2, it's an equal sign. The computer won't let me write.
thickness?